Next, in addition to these push and pull pressures, there are also general pressures. Push and pull, let's just recap this for a minute. The demand side and the supply side. The demand side is the push. The parents want it, that's the push. The supply side is the pull for funding, the pull for infrastructure, the pull for quality education, and that will continue. But in addition to these two types, there are general pressures to privatize education systems. And one factor that contributes to this is the global economic and social change. Because of technology, because of the internet, because of the virtual world, we now talk of economics and society in global language. Global economic patterns affect us. Global societal changes affect us. And therefore, what does the global economy and the global society want? If they want quality education, they want prepared individuals coming into the workforce, that is what we will have to provide. So there are also these general pressures from outside sources that education has to deal with and must deal with. Otherwise, if it's not possible for the government to address these issues, the private sector will certainly step in. Globalization linked with market liberalization has both pressured and encouraged governments to seek more efficient, more flexible, and more expansive education systems. Because now it's not a tunnel vision. It's not just this. You have to move out. You have to expand. You have to look in other directions and horizons. And so, if governments are forced for more efficient, more flexible, and more expansive education, then they're not going to be able to deliver 100%. They may be able to deliver 60, 65, 70%, but what about the remaining 30-some%? And therefore, privatization may be one response to these changes. So the private sector then steps in and says, we will pick it up from here and try to do what the government is not able to do. For whatever reasons, understand, the governments in many countries, including Pakistan, have limitations too. And so, to go beyond those limitations, the private sector will need to step in. Another factor that explains some of the growth in privatization is the encouragement of world aid agencies, such as the World Bank. Within the last decade, for example, the World Bank has given assistance to countries like El Salvador, Indonesia, Mali, the Dominican Republic, and many more. So we have to look for outside sources for education purposes, and the government is doing that. We see lots of education projects through outside source funding like CEDA or USAID or DFID, and lots of these international donor agencies are stepping in. But even with those donor agencies stepping in, it is not enough. You see, when you have a large school-going population that is constantly increasing, you have to make sure that you have the infrastructure, the funding, the sources, the effectiveness for all the students that should be in schools, colleges, and universities, not just some. So, looking at these international donor agencies that play a vital role that the government solicited, when the government solicits the private agencies, chances are higher to receive funding than when private agencies do it, because private agencies, what they do with the funding may not be very clear. And therefore, accountability and feedback and reports are critical. The external donors want these things to make sure that the money is used for the purpose it was given for.